Check it out once it's unplug them. We're going to talk a little bit about something that's been bugging me, a little taste. I can't believe that people are falling for Tariq Nasheed. I can't believe that people are falling for the same old controlled opposition play over and over and over again. Well, we're going to look at a few things. It's time to get ugly. Because you see, we're too accustomed to something being shiny or having high production value or a lot of exposure. And for a long time, we've always thought, well, that's the mark of something that's true. Because it's true and because it's well done, because it shines, because it gets a lot of exposure, it must be good. But for those of us who have really overstood what the Illuminati is all about, you know, that's nothing but a bold-faced, flat-out lie. And yes, I'm from Detroit, Michigan, and we don't like to get hustled. It's too hard out here. So there's some people that's out here hustling my people, and I believe it's time to address that a little bit. So we're going to take a little bit of a break from the normal format. The black and white chess game that the elite are playing with us all, playing us all like pawns, one side black, one side white, depends upon certain rooks, certain knights, certain kings and queens. And unfortunately, we've been looking at them as if they are truly the new black leadership, and some of them the old school black leadership, as in the case of Dick Gregory, whose roots do reach back to the civil rights movement. Well, civil rights groups, Jesuits, Zionists, and Albert Pike's purported creation of the KKK all have a connection. You see, in reality, they're all part of this chessboard dynamic. It's chess, not checkers, indeed. And also is a new school, quote-unquote, black leader on the rise, Tariq Nasheed, formerly of the Mackin genre, if you will, teaching brothers how to mac, or how to take control of black women by way of mind control. So you see, I'm going to take a little spin off of what Dr. Frances Cress Welsing says, where she says that until you understand white supremacy, everything else that you think you know will only confuse you. Well, I must adjust that a bit and say until you understand mind control, everything else that you think you know will only confuse you. And that's the reality. I'm from the blackest place on the planet next to Africa. And I know racism exists. Just look at the differences between what's on one side of 8 Mile and what's on the other side. So I understand the chess game dynamic. I'm not the one to tell you that racism does not exist, but it does not exist in the way that we're told that it exists and for the reasons that we're told. So we're going to look at some things. How, unfortunately, controlled opposition is used to mix lies with the truth and to steer me strong, not wrong. So we have to use discernment, my brothers and sisters. Low budget is real. Okay? When something does not have a lot of high production value or a lot of exposure, or doesn't get to particular platforms that are the norms, you can bet that that thing is probably not under control. So when you see people getting a lot of exposure on big time radio shows or big time talk shows, or just their stuff is in heavy distribution and demand, like for instance with the hidden color thing, you need to look twice at that thing. Believe it. You know, my bootleg man, when he came to me and told me he had hidden colors, you know, I found that to be quite interesting, because it was the only quote-unquote consciousness video or documentary, for that matter, that he had. And, you know, among his whole stack of movies or whatnot, it stood out like a sore thumb to me. And I wondered, I said, well, now how did he get a hold to this? He wasn't even that type of guy. But it's circulating. It's making its rounds. It's getting a lot of exposure, and it's getting high platforms. It's getting major play. How is that? Well, you can say it's because it's really good, and people are really waking up. When I look around the streets of the ghetto, that's not what I see. So I believe that what we're looking at when we see Tariq Nasheed and Hidden Colors and the rest of the gang, we're seeing people who are placed before us to play the role of our leaders, and their job is to really deceive us. especially when you throw a doctor in front of their name. That's what Dr. York, Dr. Phil Valentine, Dr. Umar Johnson. Unfortunately, I hate to say that, because these brothers give out some good information, but that's part of the game. Don't be game goofy. Get off 3G status. We're on 4G nowadays. So you game goofy goobers, when you see guys with doctor in front of their name, don't just fall for everything they saying. Because first of all, that denotes that you have degrees. And we're talking about Masonic degrees. It took for me to go down to Eatonton, Georgia, to the land on the humbug one day, just because I was really enthralled with the man and with his information. And I went to go check out Dr. York's land. And while I was down there on the humbug, I happened to go to one of the smaller All Eyes on Egypt stores in Atlanta proper and pick up a paper. And that paper had Dr. York sitting on the back, proudly displaying his Masonic stance, sitting in his Masonic chair with all his regalia on, and listed beneath of him was all of his worshipful master titles, all of his high titles and degrees. While at the same time, he had put out a scroll called The Year 2000 and What to Expect, and in that scroll he broke down the Scottish Rite and the York Rite and what they was all about, that they wasn't right. But at the same time, he turned around and belonged to him. So what we're talking about is Mind Control 101, which is dependent upon duality and reality. That means telling you two different things at the same time. So what you find with a lot of these people, even with Dick Gregory, I hate to say it, is you find people telling you the truth and the lie at the same time. You have to be able to discern. You got to pick the bones out this fish or you're going to choke. Dick Gregory is here, and Brother Steve Coakley is gone. And we know Brother Steve Coakley was taken out by the elite. We understand how they do their thing, and they did it in textbook fashion. And Steve Coakley said that Dick Gregory is who told him about the existence of the boule, who confirmed what he had thought. And Dick Gregory confirmed it by telling him that he was a member also. So now how does that fit into your belief that he's 100? He ain't. He can't be. You see, they send guys out here as overseers. They call people that speak up against this type of thing coons. But we're going to start calling them the overseers. The overseer's job was to walk among the field nigga and to watch him and to report back to the master. And that's what you have happening with the boule, the servants of the king. And their job is to tell you what the elite want you to be told. So when you look at them, how do you know them when you see them? They'll have certain markings. They'll throw up certain signs and symbols. What we're looking at is a bunch of brotherhood members bamboozling you with false pride. All of us did not descend from slaves. I repeat, all black people did not descend from slaves. So slavery, much like the Jewish Holocaust, is used to keep a racial confusion going on, to keep us at odds against a phantom menace. Because in reality, the white man ain't the threat. The white man has been puppeted and used by spiritual entities. We're talking about an occult political complex, an agenda that's bigger than human beings at the end of the day. That's why the chessboard is such a key symbol, because you have black pawns on one side, white pawns on the other, and something that's neither controlling them both. Now, if you notice, Tariq Nasheed exalts the fallen angel-created civilizations, and they feed him Uncle Toms for controlled opposition. This is to make him look good. But when you exalt Egypt or Sumer, the ancient civilizations of black antiquity, and you only tell one side and not the other, you're not giving the full 720, my brother. They're giving you 90 degrees. They squares, 90-degree angles. So you have to understand that their job is to geek you up, much like Alex Jones, their agent provocateurs. Hidden Colors 3, The Rules of Racism, where I watched the trailer, and it really got me heated up. You can bet that in that there will be an attack on the belief of a Most High. Believe it. The rules of racism. What about the rules of mind control? The root of racism. Pride, divide, and conquer. You see, they're going to point you to praising yourself as God, however they got to do it. It is the deception, the same deception that you see confused whites dealing with. They're lied to in the same way. This is the black version. And they put out some nice shiny brothers, looking clean, looking kind of sweet too if you ask me, to feed you this garbage. And some of y'all is eating it up because it feeds into your pride. Much like a mother who has so much pride in their child that they can't even tell when the child is wrong. Pride will create for you a blind side. Don't be hit blindsided. Also, what does macking have to do with black pride and black power? Well, maybe everything, but it has nothing to do with black consciousness and black awareness. You see, pride and power is what people join the elite for. And you got the boule and you have the Scottish Rite door. Either way, all roads lead to the satanic. Believe it. So you see, they're selling you the false hope, like Dr. Umar selling you the false hope, the false dream of a black elite school. Homeschool your children. Okay? That's your best bet. There will be no approved schools. There will be no approved opposition. Only controlled opposition and controlled schools. Now, ain't no way that brother don't know that. You can catch him also throwing up signs in his lecture. What signs? The gang signs. The only gang that matters. So after you achieve knowledge of self, then what? So they lead you to self-deification or to vaingloriousness. And then they leave you high and dry. They leave you with that. And you will be deceived in the same manner that Aleister Crowley was deceived. Please believe it. Aleister Crowley got down into Egyptian Commission history. He read the hieroglyphs. He contacted Heru. Please believe it. And Thoth. And he found out that these were spirit beings. I was, instead of I am, was not an alien. Aliens, like vampires, are only analogies for extra-dimensional entities that the religious call demons. Dr. York sells the Masonic lie and the mothership theory, exalting the fallen. And again, we find doctor. Interesting when you see doctor on the front of their name. Relating directly to having degrees. Now, Dr. York's thing is, he says that we're going to come back, our ancestors are going to come back for us. Suited and booted, with froze and braids, and they're going to ride down on the mothership, swoop us up, smash down the evil white captors, and take us back to Planet Risk. Boy, if you believe that, never buy Texas from a cowboy. They all tell 85 to 90% truth. Then they inject it with lies, pride, and division. That's what makes it so hard for you to see. But all things done in the darkness must be brought to the light, and nothing is hidden except that it will be revealed. But how do you get this revealed to you? Not simply through books. I was dumb as a box of rocks when I was trapped in a box of books. You have to be able to use your spirit, that spark of the Most High that's within you that cannot be fooled. Matthew 24 and 24. We are the elect in full effect, and we can tell the difference. I ain't got two heads and two necks. Tell it to somebody else. Now, on the Hidden Colors 3 promo, on the trailer, the first sister that spoke, she was blonde-haired. Well, that was some sort of trick bag in the first place. How did that go along with black pride? Then they showed Dr. Phil Valentine, who's questionable. I don't know what he really is. He got on his Indiana Jones voodoo dobs. And he's always sitting up there trying to get you to go the same way that Bobby Hemmett, who I do believe was sincere, at least in the fact that he was saying what he really believed, try to get you to do. Get off into that voodoo that you do, or you used to do, as if that's going to save you. Look at the people that practice that. To my brothers and sisters in New Orleans who know all about the black craft, and you see the results of people that practice that math. Look at the results. Look at how them spirits use and abuse you till they leave. You fall deeper in the style. It's hard to breathe. Then you got Paul Mooney on the Hidden Colors trailer. Richard Pryor roasted him good on the Richard Pryor roast way back in the day. And he exposed him. And I mean, it don't take a genius to see. You ain't got to be the brightest bulb in the lamp. Paul Mooney's a little sweet. Then they got Nas speaking on there. And Nas nowadays is slinging spirits. You think that brother Nas, who is not the dullest knife in the drawer, don't understand that those spirits are used to take you down through there, to depress you and oppress you and cause you to be less you, put you to sleep, knock you out, have you pass out and black out, so you're of no effect. Have mercy. Don't believe the hype. Then we got Professor Griff. He's got a new spiff. He's awful spiffy these days. And he's always got that chick following him around. Is that his handler? You see, mind control is what this is all about, my brothers and sisters. Don't fall for mind control nor behavior modification. That is, someone trying to get you to behave a certain way. They're trying to make you feel some type of way, for real. And even Rich Homie Quan will tell you that his homie would do anything for the paper. And that's what we're talking about. People that would do anything for the paper, including to fake ya. Al Sharptongue, Messy Jackson, they ain't getting it no more. So there's a new school coming in. And these brothers are part of this new school. Some of them are part of the old school. Dr. York has been around for years. He was in the music business, confusing people as a songwriter, using the duality. Dick Gregory also uses the duality. And I believe he's too old and wise to not understand what he's doing. Maybe he's simply set in his ways, you know. That would be the optimist point of view, that he doesn't know what he's doing. But that brother's too sharp. I believe that he understands how he gets you to get geeked up about the white man being the enemy, about white supremacy being the upper echelon, the top of the pyramid. And that's wrong. That's nothing but a foundational block. And it's only because the white race, Caucasians, have been used by something that's neither black or white, something without flesh, something with nobody, from the land of nobody. We're talking about spirit beings when you get to the top levels of secret societies. Why these brothers don't deal with secret societies? Dr. York did, and look what happened to him. They chewed him up and spit him out in the end. Well, that's what makes the devil, my friend. In the end, he's got to put some foot to you. And that's how they're going to do these other brothers too. But they don't care. They're getting their shine on, get yours on, because I'm going to get mine on until the end. And that's part of the whole gig. They're getting fame. They're getting a name. They're getting well known. They have good production value. Their stuff is clear and clean. And it gets a lot of circulation and distribution. How does it end up? In the bootleg man hand. I know some of you know about how some of the bootleg men got busted for being connected to some federal action. So, like every other crime, once you get busted, some of them become parts of the problem. They get put right back into the system. They give up somebody. They tell on some folks. And they become used as snitches or informants. And they're given certain things, certain movies to distribute through the hood. They want to make sure that we're all programmed well and good. And Hidden Colors is one of the things that they want to make sure is downloaded into your subconscious mind, so that you stay focused on the Trayvon fiasco, or the Trayvon hoax, better said, and the Donald Sterling hoax. Let's look at that a little bit. First of all, we got Ladyboy action. Donald Sterling's little mistress thing there is not a woman. You can't tell me that's a woman. It's some type of ladyboy action going on there, and that's Illuminati all over the place. That's a big part of this thing. The secret sex magic that Aleister Crowley detailed so well in his workings, the Paris working and the Babylon working. And this ladyboy, obviously connected to Corinne Stephens, either works for Corinne Stephens or Bishop Don Magic Wand. Watch these titles. Don Magic Wand. And also, we got Magic Johnson. They use magic. They use the spells that Aleister Crowley knew so well. And no, he wasn't the only one, but he got fame, and everybody knows his name. And that's the same thing many of them are getting. Believe it, they're getting a couple of dollars too. Please believe it. But even Don Magic Wand is not only using the magic of mind control, but religion mind control. Yes, religion is a huge part of mind control. Not the belief in the Most High, not following the ways of the Messiah, who was a black man, but totally being given to the mind control systems of religion that are divvied out by way of Catholicism through the secret order of Catholicism called the Jesuits, or through Zionism, which is by and large what teaches the rabbis what to say and what not to say, or through the secret societies and the civil rights groups that are created by the Jesuits. Not only is the NAACP backed by Jewish backing and by Jesuit backing, as well as the SNCC of the Southern Christian Leadership Council, but also you have connections between these and secret societies in general. And speaking of General Albert Pike, who did his part of the great work by creating, or so we're told, by creating the KKK. And he got a statue for that. He's well known in Masonic circles. And the Masons are the baby bears, believe it. Yeah, they go all the way back to the original builders, but the older secret societies had older, more telling names, like the Brotherhood of the Snake or the Brotherhood of Cain. And Albert Pike did his thing to keep racialism going on. Like a religion. Some people religiously hate the white man, and some white folks religiously hate blacks. And all of that's part of the chessboard game if you want to know the facts. But don't believe it. I see through you like saran wrap. It's a wrap. They're talking the skin of the apple instead of the core. They, I mean this controlled opposition, these so-called black leaders, are allowed to tell you things you can find out already if you look. Well-known, yet well-covered and seldom spoken things, but things that are already out there. Seldom do they say something new to you. Now, some attempt to say what is not only unsaid, but undocumented. And those people are suppressed. They don't have the production value. They're not getting paid off. They're not merely news reporters, but news makers and creators in the true spirit of the creator, truly doing a new thing and singing a new song. These dudes is little more than news reporters, and Nasheed can't even tell the news right. He couldn't even say the lady boy's name correctly. Have mercy. But you following him. The blind lead the blind, they both end up in a ditch. These people are foes in opposition, and I don't love these foes. Like Alex Jones, they read you the stuff that they can find, and then that you can easily find, and then they rouse you up, geek you up for the big letdown. Then they play off your emotions, as with the Trayvon hoax and the Donald Sterling setup. Do you think that that old wrinkly man was the only one of them owners that think like a plantation owner? When they tossing a basketball to 10 brothers and just letting them do their thing, so you think when it's millions of dollars on the line, they just trust that everything will end up fine. No, it's all orchestrated. So there was an orchestrated conspiracy to put Donald Sterling out there bad. It must be something he did that he should not have. From their point of view anyway. And then also we look at a couple of things, and it's evident that Magic Johnson wanted control, or wants control, of the Clippers. He denied it at first. He said, oh no, I'm a Laker man. And then a couple of days later it comes out, yep, Magic wants the Clippers. Magic Johnson and Zeke did the Boule Kiss way before Baby and Wayne did it, and before Madonna and Christina Aguilera did it, and Britney Spears. That's the kiss I'm passing down from the old way, or from the old world to the new world order. Magic represented the old school, and Zeke and them was bringing in the new school that would bring you Jordan and what you have today. Remember how it went? First it was Magic versus Zeke. Well, first it was Bird versus Magic. The white was passing it to the black. Then it was Magic versus Zeke. The old school was passing it to the new school. Then it was Zeke versus Jordan. You see? It's all orchestrated. I got one on sports that I should be dropping. I don't know, maybe tonight. These people are not stupid. When you see these so-called new leaders and the old ones, Dick Gregory, Dr. York, when you see them standing up there acting like they know this, but not that, that's mind control 101. That's the Hegelian dialectic And that's the way that they keep your mind split in two, duality. Using that 11, representative of the wizardry, but also representative of the twins. To make twins of you. It's two of you. A house divided against itself cannot stand, and as long as you're divided, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So see, they know this and not that. Right. They drop facts and fakes. No, brother, until you overstand mind control, behavior modification, and Crowleyan influence, you are in the dark. There is an occult political complex, and when they don't deal with the occult the way that it should be dealt with, when all they tell you is, well, it was ours, and we need to take it back, you need to look twice at that. And I'm not just whistling Dixie. I looked at that. I was doing that 20 years ago, looking into the Egyptian belief system, reading the Medu Neter, learning how to do Egyptian magic, because I believed that it was ours. Vainglorious. And it wasn't protected. It left me out there bad. And that's the job of that. But I'm not alone. Some people have to join the secret societies and the brotherhoods to ever get their hands on that. Nowadays, there's so much information in the information age to get you out of formation. They're trying to put you together and take it apart. So look twice at everything that's going on around you, especially in these days and times. And if the media says it, you should probably disbelieve it. Just believe it. And look at these guys twice. Look at them with your hustle eye. Don't just take everything at face value. And just because it's getting pumped up, and because a bunch of other brothers and sisters that's wearing cowrie shells and locks is enthralled with it, that don't necessarily mean that you shouldn't look twice at it. If something is true, it can stand the scrutiny. And again, that's just part of the mark of using your wise dome, so you can have some free dome. Please believe it. Now, we had to get a little ugly, but that's all right. Because ugly, they say, is not something that God likes. But I'm going to tell you, God ain't too particular about pretty neither. And if you look at Isaiah 53, 1, 2, and 3, you can get a little bit of insight into that if you're not allergic to scripture. If you are, you'll get over it. Who hath believed our report? And to whom is the arm of the Lord revealed? To the smartest person, to the person that's read the most books? For he shall grow up before him as a tender plant, and as a root out of a dry ground. He hath no form nor comeliness, and when we shall see him, there is no beauty that we should desire him. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows and acquainted with grief. And we hid, as it were, our faces from him. He was despised, and we esteemed him not. So look out for everything that's high esteemed in this land of Babylon. We chant Babylon down. Babylon the Great has fallen, and you're witnessing those who are being controlled by the fallen. Stepping out here as the mouthpieces for you and I. And it should make you feel some type of way.